Hey, hello everybody, it is I, the deadest of the spreadest, back here today to take some of my old, poorly designed fake Pokemon and to give them a thorough fix and redesign. When designing my 151 fake Pokemon, I used the original Pokedex as a template. Basically, whenever a new Pokemon and evolutionary line were introduced, I would also introduce a new Mon with the same number of evolutions. So clever, I know. Pokemon games always ease in the player with some kind of early birds, bugs, and small mammal, occasionally referred to as rodents, despite just under half of them not actually being rodents at all. Let's take a look at ours. The first regional bug consists of Moth, a floofy little soulless-eyed grubba, who evolves into Transilis, an unnecessarily sinister-looking cocoon Pokemon, who finally becomes the bug fairy type Moth, which is literally just Moth, but with antennae and wings. Not really great at all. Now, before we get to redesigning these three, we need a quick history lesson. Trust me, it'll make everything make sense. The Caterpie line shares a connection with Venonat. How? Well, look at Venonat, look at Butterfree. Now look at Venomoth, next to Caterpie and Metapod. I know, right? For my original decks, I decided to give the Moth line an evolutionary connection to the family that would share their dex number with Venonat, those being Workabee and Boxabee. See how Transilis resembles them? Yeah. That's it. So why was that important? Well, redesigning Moth was always a challenge to me. I was never a fan of it, and I was just giving it an updated, prettier redesign, or the concept of turning it into an actual literal baby worm, with Transilis resembling a Prem. I mean, that's pretty clever, but definitely weird. A regional Caracol variant, maybe? I was pretty stumped, but then, out of the blue, comes regular fan of the channel, Stan Marsh fan 1928, with this positively glorious fan/concept art for a Moth redesign. Get this, the redesign is a combination between the woolly bear caterpillar and honey bears. What do bees like Workabee make? Honey. Hot dog. Making the new Moth was easy enough, a floofy little teddy bear caterpillar, definitely a unique looking starter bug. The woolly bear cocoon resembles a hairball, and I figured with the previous connection to Workabee, Transilis should resemble a beehive. A bear hive, even? Gosh. Its defensive shell could be used to store honey that feed the juvenile Moth. The dripping honey could even resemble arms. Maybe it could spin itself rapidly to fling it at its opponents with force. It hangs from trees using its prickly crown, tail, thing. And finally, once ready, it evolves into a woolly bear caterpillar moth. Yeah, despite being a moth, I actually opted out of giving this guy wings. It always bugged me when a Pokemon with wings or that is clearly levitating can still be hit by ground type moves. Also having wings would have made it too busy visually. So wings, goodbye. Took a bit of designing to get right. Took a while to find the right balance between bear and bug. Thinking about how it would transport honey and looking at the moth's yellow abdomen, I decided that its rear should be a hollow honey gathering organ. Shaped like a honeypot too, of course. Interestingly, despite the overall change, we kept the baby theme with juvenile Moth being provided honey stored by Bearhive, which in turn is given honey by the final evolution. Now I know Moth originally ended up being a bug fairy type, which wasn't used at the time. However, now that we have Cutiefly and Ribombee, how about the redesigned Moth line be bug normal type? An unused combo, and it kind of makes sense. Sorta. Cause it's a bear. Along the way, if you've got any rename ideas, be sure to leave a comment letting me know. Suppose some potential names for these guys could be Cubgrub, Bearhive, Honey Bear Mothy, Floofy. I don't have a name for this. Those eagle-eared amongst you would notice that I said first regional bug. That's right, we got two. Meet Larby.
It's too larby? Not larby enough.
Larby, when leveled up, becomes Magulk, the prickly chubster maggot, who inexplicably evolves into Stagniant, a colossal bug-dark bioluminescent stag beetle. Maggots becoming beetles, huh? That's wild. Decided to stick with the rhinoceros beetle aspect for redesigning this line, with Larby being a little baby rhino larva. Bigger than most early game bugs, this little guy's territorial nature could be misinterpreted as it just being playful. Good thing it doesn't have a horn on its head. Yet. Upon evolution, like most 3-stage Bugmons, we evolve into the pupil stage. This stationary cocoon sports a massive hooked horn, which 1 could be used for intimidation tactics, but 2 also allows it to hang from the branches of trees. With their rambunctious first stage and an unmoving second, who could they rely on for defense? Well, rhinoceros beetle, literally. This design came to me so fast, and I just fell in love with it from there. Just an enormous, super powerful defensive bug. Don't really have names to this trio, open for ideas here. Also, I know Stagniant was a bug and dark type, but given that this mon is not particularly violent, or connected to the darkness, or bioluminescent, I'm just gonna make it a pure bug. For real, the only fully evolved solo bug type Pokemon are Pinsir, who has a flying type mega, so it doesn't really count, Volbeat, Illumise, and Cricketune, who are all whatever, and a Selgor. I think it's about time we get another viable fully evolved Bugmon. Next for today, we're gonna check out the regional bird, Ravion. This base-ass normal flying little crow evolves into Raviator, who is literally just a larger Ravion, and finally becomes Raviate, gaining the steel type, loads of sharp edges, and serious airplane energy. Definitely not terrible, but a literal airplane bird? Not literal enough, I say. Well, if we're gonna go ahead and make literal plane birds, we may as well base our first stage off of a paper airplane. Not just that, however, it is a bird, so why not base it off of a Blackbird? We haven't had one of those yet in our regional birds so far. There was lots of finicking with proportions, but this is definitely one of the most unique looking early game birdmons. When taking flight, it resembles, surprise, a paper airplane. Upon evolution, I wanted to base Raviator's redesign off of something between paper airplanes and a jet. I was originally thinking of those foam remote control toy planes, but I couldn't really figure out what to do with the wings. Eventually, I decided to base it off of the Grumman Avenger planes flown in World War II, mainly because I saw that they had these really cool foldable wings. Also, it's a World War II plane, and it's the second evolution, and okay, that's a bit too much of a stretch, even for me. Redesigning Raviate was a challenge to be sure, before I had the specific bird species in mind, because I ended up just creating a turbine-armed pilot eagle. It was really, really dumb. Remember how the bird I chose was a blackbird, though? Now consider the Blackbird.
A sleek blackbird bird. Yeah.
Its proportions are super whack when it stands up straight, giving it a wildly different silhouette from the other regional birds. Keeping the folding wings of its pre-evolution, it would hold them behind its back while standing, looking rather sophisticated. Regal, even. A regal eagle. No, it's a blackbird. It's actually almost a heron at this point, but you know, it's Pokemon. Having multiple inspirations is always a win. When it flies, instead of flapping its wings, it can use its internal jet energy to fly at supersonic speed. Very cool, if I say so myself. While the Ravion line's names are derived from the Pidgey line, I think they could keep the same names. Of course, if you have any other names, I'd be glad to hear them. Finally for today, we get to our normal type regional rodent, which is actually not a rodent, but a marsupial. Meet Miniko, the miniature koala, who evolves into Coasal, the colossal koala. Extremely basic concept, but how can we make it work? Clearly, seeing a koala in the context of Pokemon would bring to mind Komala, and even in my original review video 4 years ago, I said that I'd like to repurpose Coasal into a Komala evolution. While I did make an updated version of Comasal where it uses the log as a pillow, we still had the problem that Miniko didn't get redesigned. I wasn't really big on making a pre-evolution for Komala using Miniko, but since then, we have received regional forms and respective evolutions. So instead of Miniko and Coasal, how about a regional Komala and a new evolution to go alongside it? Thinking of koalas, two things come to mind. The first is the cute, fuzzy, tree-hugging little guys we all see, which Komala covers pretty well. The other is a drop bear, the extremely rare, vicious, and violent koala variant. They're known as drop bears because they drop onto your head to attack you. Me oh my. Given the violent nature of the drop bear, this Komala variant could definitely be a dark fighting type. A regional Komala. We're gonna need a region for all of our redesigned fake man. Got any ideas? It doesn't have to be based off a country. In fact, I'd prefer if it wasn't. Leave a comment if anything comes to mind. Now, to evolve it. What basis could we use to inexplicably upscale the drop bear? I mean, it's hardly as if there's a 16-foot tall variant known as the mammoth drop bear. That'd just be too good to be true. Well, what do you know? Evolving our regional Komala into the larger, angrier, nastier, and renamed Comasal, instead of these two being induced in an infinite sleep, they'll be putting you into an eternal coma. Yikes. Look, we've got fan art! If you'd like to have your art featured, you can find me and tag me on Twitter, DeviantArt, or Instagram. Don't really use the Instagram, but it's there if you want to use that. I can be found at Deadbedspread on everything. If you made it to the end of this video, you have my infinite love and appreciation. I'm really enjoying going through all of my old Fakemon again, applying design knowledge I didn't have at the time. I do think by the time we're done, we may actually have a viable Dex. That remains to be seen. Any fans of the Fakemon review series watching, I'll be doing one more episode of these redesigns, and they'll be heading back for the long-awaited episode 10. Think of these design videos as a redesign recap. It's just a change and fix some stuff I wasn't big on. Anyhow, all your comments and feedback are much appreciated. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. I've been Deadbedspread, and all the best.